I don't know, I like to make people look at things a different way. So it's like a mix of chance and intention, and then what happens is the painting. Hello, my name is Lee Stewart. I am a Kingston-based artist from Canada. Art was always around me when I was younger, especially when I was growing up, because pretty much everyone in my family used to do art. My dad does wood carving. He makes realistic birds and abstract birds, mostly birds. And my mom does makes jewelry out of beadwork and moccasins and stuff like that. And my grandma is also toll painter, so my cottage is like completely covered in paints. Like every handle has like a little scene on it. It was the joke when we were younger that if it was paintable, she would probably paint it. So it was always around, but I didn't think of it as like a special or unique thing until I was older, when I realized other people didn't have, art, people constantly making stuff around them. I like to think that I do art and not crafts, and like art with like a capital A, not to be too arrogant. But I also have a lot of friends who know nothing or do nothing in the art field, who are just intimidated to go into a gallery. And you know what I mean? Like, you probably have friends the same way, and it shouldn't be that way. But I also I understand you want to take it seriously, take your art seriously, and you know what I mean? But you also don't want to be too serious, I guess. Sometimes I just I'll go to, National Gallery and look at Jackson Pollock and be like, that's cool. And that's all I need to say about it sometimes, I don't have to go deeper. I watched this interview with Virgil Abloh, who's a designer for Off-White, and he had this one line that I wrote down that I think about all the time, and it's where you want to appeal to the tourist and the purist. So I want to have people who know nothing about art, don't care anything about art, to immediately gravitate towards it and like it. Maybe that's part of the bright colors. If you want to dig deeper, you can see the art history references or the technical things. So if you want to nerd out, you can. Or if you just want to look at it as a background picture, then you can do that too. I've always liked movies, and I can't tell you why or why not. I went to school at Carleton in Ottawa. I started in film theory, and then probably by year 2 or 3 I switched to art history. I think if you have the ability to learn and the willingness to want to learn, you can kind of do anything. There's a lot of painterly aspects within movies. Some movies look like a still shot of a painting, or vice versa, a painting looks like it could be in a movie. Yeah. So I just don't see any separation. Where I grew up, there's 300 people. The town had probably had over a dozen archaeologists, people working archaeology, which is kind of crazy. My first time ever doing it technically was in high school. My first job was essentially just moving dirt pile A to dirt pile B. Yeah. But as the years have gone on, and I went to school for art history, there's guys there who didn't go to school for archaeology, who just went to school for classics. So this is an old Dutch gin bottle, and this is about as old as this painting. I think this is a Rembrandt painting, and we get thousands of artifacts, and some of them are non-diagnostic, which means they wouldn't matter for the site, to figure out what's what. So I just like the idea of, I don't know, painting on something different. Yeah, and a lot of the practices you would have in archaeology, you could take into painting, working by yourself, slowly, taking away the garbage to have the final image. Yeah, because sort of the way I paint in archaeology, I don't have a set goal for my final painting. but I'm sort of uncovering it like an archaeologist. That's why it's sort of like a big block, you know, like Michelangelo's. Like the more you chip away, eventually it reveals itself to you. Okay, let me think. Canada Obscura. So my idea behind that was kind of a wordplay, because camera obscura is like, you know, an old way of like getting references through cameras. It was a lot of pandemic paintings, so it was paintings at night and with weird colors and stuff like that, because I was mostly hanging out about at night. Because everyone had weird sleeping patterns, people are just up walking around and like everything's empty. So maybe I kind of feel like looking back, that's why it's a lot of like night scenes, suburban scenes, you know, liminal spaces. I like trying to turn like an innocuous building into something maybe a bit more nefarious. You know, if we see the same thing at nighttime, or, you know, in a different light, literally, you'd think of it differently. Well, the idea is that I wanted to make stuff like as dynamic as like the day is, you know, like I want just colors and light to change as the days and light change. So I was thinking of ways to try to bring that into like a painting, just to try to make it more dynamic, because like paintings are cool and all, but like I'd like them to change as, you know, we all change, people have different moods and the days change, and it'd be cool if they sort of match that a bit. But I also feel restricted by materials in that there's things that I want to do that feel imaginary, because I don't know materials that can do them. Like I want to have like a clear canvas, but I don't know how to do that. Just be layers of transparent on like not glass, but like canvas glass, I don't know. Stuff like that, or like the ways to make the light work with it continually throughout the day. I like experimenting with different mediums. You know, like there's what you imagine, there's what's possible, and then there's the Venn diagram of like realistic possibilities. You know what I mean? So you're trying to just get them to overlap. That's what I'm trying to do.